Hi, this is Imaneo. Welcome to my channel. So in this series, we are building a game using Flutter and Flame game engine. The game is called Flappy Dash. So in this episode, we are going to publish or deploy it on the web. I think this episode is the 10th one. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, I highly suggest you to watch them because it's a series and you need to watch all of them. So let's jump into it. At first, I'm gonna take a look at the latest state of the game. We are on branch part 9. This is the previous branch or episode. So when you tap, the game starts. And when you lose, we show the game over and you can click on play again. And it shows the initial page again. And yeah, so first of all, let me create a new branch. So I'm going to create branch part 10. Yeah. So first of all, I want to upgrade the Flutter So Loud plugin that we have. So it's here, Flutter So Loud. Yes, so we are using 2.0.2, and if you take a look at the pub.dev website, you see that we have a new version which is 2.1.1. And if you take a look at the changelog, you see that they added the web support. So before that, we didn't have web support for Flutter So Loud, and I'm very happy that they implemented it for the web. So now we can publish the app or the game in the web platforms. And yeah, so let me upgrade it to 2.1.1 and let's do a pub get. Yes, so we are in the newer version. So let me run it in the web platform in debug mode. I'm gonna use Chrome and I'm gonna close this window because this is the macOS implementation or build of the game. I'm gonna close it and I'm gonna run it in the web. Okay, so we have the game here and it seems we have some issues. Let me put it back here. Yeah, so this is the game running on web, but we have some issues. It says cannot read properties of undefined is initted, and it is coming from the So Loud itself. So let's get back to the Flutter So Loud, and there might be a section that they explain what can we do for the web. It is Linux, Android, Windows, and yes, so as you see there's a web section, and if you see there's a documentation here for the web. The web platform is not supported, but some testing is welcome. Please note that filters for a single sound are not supported on the web. Okay, so fortunately we don't have filters and we don't need to be worried about this part. And in the how to use, they say that we need to add this line to the index.html that we have and inside the body section. And also load URL may produce the following error. Okay, so we don't have any load URL and we don't have any load memory. So it's okay because we are using assets. I think we are good to go. We just need to add this line of code, and here in the web directory we have the index.html, and inside the body we can just add the script that they provided. And let me stop it and run it again. Okay, it is running again, and yeah, so it seems we are good. So let's check the logs. Yeah, so it seems we don't have any issue. So let's start it. Yeah, it is working well. So we could hear all the audio. And it is working well. Now we need to publish it to the web. So to do that, we can use GitHub Pages. So if you search for GitHub Pages, you will find this documentation, and it explains how can you host your project in the GitHub. And yeah, so simply you can host your HTML CSS files in a GitHub repository, and it serves it like this. So your username.github.io / the repository name, I think. And this way you can have access to the served files on the web And yeah, so as you know, in the GitHub we have something called actions. So it is like a piece of code that runs in the CI/CD part of the GitHub. And there is something from the Bluefire team for Flutter GH pages, which means Flutter GitHub pages, and it helps you to deploy the Flutter on the web. And it's very simple. We just need to copy paste this part of code, and we need to create a directory called .github, and inside that we are going to create another directory called workflows, and inside that we are going to define our workflows or actions. So I'm going to call it gh.pages.yml. And yeah, so let me explain this code briefly. So it says that run this action when someone pushed something on the main branch, so this part, and the job is called build, and it runs on the Ubuntu, and these are the steps. So the first step is to check out the source code. So it tries to load the repository somehow, and then it tries to install the Flutter. Then this is going to build the web and serve it to a branch, and then later we can set up the GitHub repository to serve the branch that we created. So I'm gonna explain you in more details later. So let me push it. At first, let me commit these two separately. So upgrade Flutter so loud dependency. And after that, let me push this code. By the way, because we are testing, we can just add the branch part 10 here to make sure that it is working well. And then if everything was good, we can just remove it and push it to the main branch. But for now, I just add the part 10 here. And okay, so let's open this URL. This is our merge request. Let me create it. And yeah, I think it contains all the episodes that we have. So the last commit is add GH pages. And here in the actions, you can see that there is an action running. So it is called add GH pages action. And if you open it, you see that it tries to run this part of code. It's going to install the Flutter, and then it's going to publish the web. So let's see. Okay, so we have an error here. It says permission to FlappyDash.git denied by the GitHub actions. To solve this, I remember we need to give some permissions in the settings. So let's find it. Actions, maybe general. Yeah, I think this is the permission that we need to give. So read and write permission for everyone. So let me save it. And now we can retry the action. So it's here. Let me open it. Yeah, rerun the job, rerun all jobs. And yeah, so let's see what happens. Yeah, as you see in this command, it is going to build it for the web. And yeah, so you can read all the things that are happening. It shows everything, and nice. So as you see, it is successfully completed. And yeah, so when you see this green mark, it means everything is fine. So if you check the repository source code, you see that we have a branch called GH pages. So if you open this branch, you see that this is the result of the build. As you see, it is committed right now, and it has the index.html. And if you open it, for example, you can see the script that we just added, and it has everything that is needed for the web. And we just need to let the GitHub know that it can serve this branch to the web. After that, we are good to go. And the point is that whenever we push something to the main branch, it just updates the GH pages branch, and it builds a new version of the web, and it just pushes it into this branch, and then the website or the web app is updated. So let me open the GitHub pages. It's here, and here there's an option, it can deploy from a branch. So this is exactly what we want, because the main branch contains the source code and the GH Pages branch contains the files that we need to serve them. This is the result of the Flutter build command. So we need to choose a branch here. I'm gonna choose GH Pages and let's save it. Okay, so let's find the URL that we can open. Let me open the pages again. It's here, and yeah, so as you see, it said that your site is live at this URL. So this is my username, github.io/Flappy Dash. And when you open it, you see the white screen. Hopefully it works, but let's see. It's taking too long. Let's refresh it. And let's see the network requests. Okay, so there are some failing requests. 404. Yeah, so the point is that it couldn't load these files, for example the solout.js file, and if you try to open it manually, you see that it doesn't exist. And I think I know the issue. So if you open the GH Pages action, you see that there's a part that explains base href. Using this property, you can specify your repository, because by default it uses the user or organization site, for example the base URL. But as you see here, we have the Flappy Dash, so we need to change the base href to this one. And yeah, so let's copy this part and we are going to add it under the Flutter GH Pages. Let's open it here, and I'm gonna write my repository name. It is Flappy Dash, and after that I think it solves the issue. So let me commit it. Okay, so let's open the GitHub page again. I will close it, and in the actions you see that we have a new one that is running. So let's wait to see what happens. Okay, so the new version is deployed, and let me open the web page again. By the way, we can just edit the description here, and there's a check mark here, use your GitHub Pages website, and then we can just click here to open the URL or open the game. Yeah, it cannot load it again. Maybe it is using the old version. Yeah, as you see, it is loading the assets from the imano.github.io. We just need to add the Flappy Dash here. So that's the issue. If we just add it here, it should work. Yes. Okay, so let's open it again. Maybe it is using cache or something like that. We can open it in the incognito. It is a clean environment. So let's see. Yes, so it's working well. Oh, there was an issue with the audio, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's good. So it works well. Let's open it in the normal browser again. Yeah, it is using cache. So okay, it is fixed now. And you can now open this URL to play the game in your phone or in your browser. And in the next step, I'm going to define a custom domain here, because I just purchased the flappydash.com domain, and I'm going to connect it to the game that we just deployed, because this URL is ugly, it is too long, and flappydash.com is a better option. So to do that, we can open the settings. We have to do different things to manage it. The first part is that we need to edit this part, so we can use the custom domain here. And the next part, we need to edit the DNS part of the domain, so we need to point it to the GitHub servers. And also we need to add a file in the root of our web directory. Yeah, it should be called cname, something like this. And then we need to add the domain here. So these are the 3 steps that we need to do to be able to use the custom domain. So let's go step by step. At first, I'm going to write flappydash.com. By the way, because I'm going to create a landing page for the Flappy Dash in this URL, let's define a subdomain for playing the game. So for example, we can write play.flappydash.com, and if you save this, yeah, this is good. The DNS has problem because we need to edit the domain setting to point it to the GitHub servers, and to do that there's a documentation here. Let me close this one. And here it explained how can we set the DNS part. Yes, so here let me open this one. I mean, you can read all the documentation here, but because I know what we need to do, I just skip the documentation. But if you want, I can put the links into the description so you can read all of them. And yeah, so the point is that we need to add these A records in our DNS. So it depends on what server or service are you using for your domain. They are all have the DNS configuration, so you can just change them to point them to the GitHub servers. So I'm using Cloudflare, and let's open it. And yeah, so as you see, these are the domains that I have. And where's Flappy Dash? Yeah, it's here, flappydash.com. And it is a new domain, so we can just configure the DNS here. I mean, if you are using another service, you can just find the DNS configuration setting, and the point is that you can add some rows or records, and then you can follow the instruction. For example, here it said that create A records for these IP addresses. I'm gonna create it here. Yeah, as you see, the type is here. I'm gonna choose A as the documentation says, and the name is the subdomain actually, so I use play here. So as you see, it is play.flappydash.com, and the point is that it points this domain to the IP address that I just provided. So I just copy pasted all the addresses here, and if you save, okay, it seems we cannot import all of them together, so let's do it one by one. I'm gonna use the first one, and it is going to be play. Okay, the first one is imported. Let's do the other ones. Okay, now we created all the records that are needed for the GitHub. So we just pointed the play subdomain to these 4 IP addresses that are for GitHub. And now if we refresh here, it should be successful because we just connected it to the GitHub server. And yeah, so as you see, the DNS check was successful, and let's open it to see what happens. Okay, now I think we don't need to have the href anymore because it should use the root path instead of this one. So let's try. So if we open this here, it doesn't open, we know that. And if we remove this part, it works well. So let's edit the pipeline that we have to just remove the base href, because with the subdomain we don't need it anymore. Or we can do something. We can just remove the commit that we already have instead of adding a commit and then add another commit to revert the previous commit. Because we are in the branch and it's not the main branch, we can just remove the commit. So there is a command called git reset head with this mark, and if you run it, it just removes the last commit, and we can just check it. Yeah, as you see, this is the change that we had in the commit. It just removed the commit and we have the changes here, and then we can stash it. Yeah, so let's do a force push. Because we removed a commit, we changed the commit history, we need to do a force push, and that's why we have this one here. And let me open the GitHub page. Yeah, as you see, we have a new action again. And while it is running, let me explain something to you. So as you see, I wrote GG push here. It is coming from a plugin that I have on my ZSH terminal. So if you search for my ZSH, you see that you have this beautiful command line, and there are some plugins, and one of them is Git. Yeah, we have a lot of plugins that are related to the Git, but I think this one is the one that I'm using. It is installed by default, and there are some aliases for the commands. For example, gg push means git push origin and current branch. And you can use other aliases. For example, we have some gg pull, which pulls the changes, and gco, which just checks out to a new branch. And yeah, also we have some plugins for Flutter. Yeah, it is here. And for example, it has some aliases such as flattach, which is Flutter attach, or fldvcs, which is Flutter devices. I mean, if you want, you can just install them to use a shorter alias for the command that you have. And yeah, I will put the link into the description, but it's very simple. ohmyz.sh. Okay, and yeah, the build is successful, and let's open it, play.flappydash.com. Let me open it in the incognito because we have a clean environment here. Okay, so it says an error, it couldn't find the page. I think we need to add the file that I already told. It's called cname, and inside that we need to add the domain here. Okay, so let's see the action again. Yeah, it's a new action, and let's wait to see whether it solves the issue or not. So it is successful. Let me open it in the incognito. Yeah, so now we have the play.flappydash.com that opens our game, and the audio works well. And yeah, so I think we are done with this episode. So you can just open the URL and play, and please share your high scores in the comment. By the way, in the future episodes we are going to implement the leaderboard, then we can see your scores live, but before that you can just share it in the comment to see who one has the highest score. And yeah, so thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for the next videos. We are going to have a lot of amazing and interesting videos. I'm not gonna spoil it, but they are very interesting. And yeah, so don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, share the channel with your friends or colleagues, and see you next time. Bye.